Have you heard the phrase, the Great Reset? And I don't just mean in terms of resetting our relations with Russia. I'm talking about the Great Reset of the whole world. This was the resounding theme, and it's been a theme now for 2 years straight at the World Economic Forum, the kind of elite meeting that occurs in Davos, Switzerland. World leaders come together. And Klaus Schwab, the leader of the World Economic Forum, has talked about the need to remake capitalism. He says we've got to get away from this idea of entrepreneurs and customers. Everybody is, quote, a stakeholder. So everybody has a say in how capitalism and companies are organized. Here's a short video made by the World Economic Forum talking about how everything needs to change.
The recovery from the pandemic is an opportunity. We can see rays of hope in the form of a vaccine, but there is no vaccine for the planet. Nature needs a bailout.
You don't want to go back to the status quo that you had before simply because it was the status quo that got us here.
With everything falling apart, we can reshape the world in ways we couldn't before. Ways that better address so many of the challenges we face. And that's why so many are calling for a great reset.
If you suspect that something fishy is going on here, you're quite right. Here's Klaus Schwab. The world must act jointly and swiftly to revamp all aspects of our societies and economies, from education to social contracts and working conditions. Every country from the United States to China must participate in every industry, from oil and gas to tech, must be transformed. We need a great reset of capitalism. Now, right away you think, a great reset of capitalism? Well, nothing's gone wrong with capitalism. If anything, it's these governments around the world that have completely botched their response to the virus. So how can the virus be used as a kind of pretext to transform what has been working and leave alone government failures, what has not been working? Now, the Biden administration is completely on board with this great reset. We know this because John Kerry was at the World Economic Forum and a number of panels organized by these people. And he says the great reset, quote, will happen with greater speed and greater intensity than a lot of people imagine. In fact, he describes the election as a reset in the United States that goes along with this great reset. Now, these people have in mind not just a transformation of markets or economies, but a transformation of human behavior. This is why they talk about the tech industry stepping in. They're all on board with regulating people's lives. The question I want to ask is, to what end? What is it that they're trying to do? Are they trying to remake the world? No. What they're really trying to do is to remake human nature. They are trying to create, you may say, a new man. Now, this seems like a radical idea, and it certainly is. The idea of creating a new man has been common to all kinds of leftist utopian schemes going right back into the 19th century. The early socialist movements were all utopian and spoke in very devotional terms about transforming human nature itself. Marx was all about creating a new man under communism. Human nature itself, he said, would become something totally different. But it wasn't just the socialists who were on this. There was also Nietzsche, who talks about creating a new man. Nietzsche calls him the Übermensch, the overman, or some say Superman. Human nature itself rises above its kind of inadequacies and becomes something totally different. Nietzsche calls his philosophy a philosophy for people who live in ice and high mountains, a kind of ascent to a higher state of being. Now, there are roots in early Christianity, and I would say even in the American founding, of the idea of creating a new man. In Christianity, the Apostle Paul speaks about the new man. The old Adam is dead, and the new Adam is represented by Christ. And the American founders spoke about a new type of regime, a new type of society that would generate a new type of man. Their phrase was the novus ordo seclorum, which really means a new order for the ages. America was going to create something new in the world, and this new type of constitution would help to constitute, to frame, and to shape a new type of man. Now, here's the important difference, though. For the Christians and for the American founders, this new man was based on human nature. There was no desire to abolish or get rid of human nature. This was in fact considered ridiculous. Under Christianity, we can only live in what Augustine calls the city of God. Augustine in the city of God contrasts the city of God with the city of man. But the city of man is the earth. As long as we're human beings, we live in the city of man. We can aspire to the city of God, but we don't get there until we reach the next world. Similarly, for the American founders, the idea was to anchor their new type of society in human nature, based on a realistic understanding of human nature. And their understanding was that human nature is flawed. That's why we need all these checks and balances, separation of powers, limits on the government to prevent warped human nature from abusing power. But of course, for the left, the idea of creating a new man is transformational. This is what they are all about. And the problem is that because human nature doesn't change, can't be changed, all you can do is beat up on it. All you can do is be cruel. All you can do is attempt to force what cannot be achieved through persuasion. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the great Russian dissident thinker, raised an interesting question once when he said, even in Shakespeare's greatest tragedies, they kill one guy or two guys or five guys, but you don't kill a million guys or 10 million, the way that these leftist regimes, from the National Socialists in Germany to Lenin and Stalin in Russia, how do you get to that scale of killing? And the answer is actually really simple. You do it because you're not killing a human being. You're killing in the name of an ideology. The ideology sanctifies mass slaughter that you find no analog for, nothing similar in the ancient world. And that's a danger we need to be alert to, because our left today is all about the reset. They're all about the new man. And you can see that we, the conservatives, the patriots, the Christians, we resist this. We say that doesn't make any sense. Our human nature rebels against it. And so they go, let's apply more force. Let's censor you. Let's bully you. Let's lock you up. And it's only one step from let's treat you like terrorists. Let's make you into domestic enemies. Let's make you into ISIS. Let's kill you. Let's bomb you. Let's get rid of you. And then, of course, that dreaded word of the 20th century, let's exterminate you. Why? Because your human nature is not submitting to us. This is the terrible, bloody legacy of trying to take human nature as it is and make it into something that it isn't and never could be.